All right, we cracking? Okay, so where do I begin? The story begins back in Bandina. Now, the story starts with me really wanting a lens. And I go off and I pick up this lens. I do a ton of research. It's a toss-up in my mind between the Sony G 18-105 f4 with the OSS, or it's the Laowa 65mm 2x macro. These are all APS-C lenses, by the way. And I'm tossing up which one to get, you know, which one do I want more, the Sony or the Laowa? Turns out it was hard to find the Laowa, so I got the Sony. And I decided the first thing I wanted to test the lens out on was taking it to the Royal National Park and basically trying to photograph things that are quite, hard to come by, like, birds and bits and pieces, and just testing that zoom lens out on lots of different things in between. Anyway, so 2 days after I've been in Bandina, I've found all sorts of things. I found kissing cockatoos. I found, all these different things to shoot, different, the reason why I wanted the 18-105, and hold on one second, I'm going to go get it so I can show it to you. All right, so where was I? Okay, so this is the lens I'm talking about here. This is the, is it going to focus or not? So, all right. Now, the reason I wanted this lens is because, obviously, with an APS-C camera, the crop sensor demands that it basically is 1.6 times whatever focal length, because lenses all are full frame in terms of their focal lengths that are written on them, and APS-C basically puts 1.6 times the focal length number is the actual number that you're going to see through the lens shooting on a APS-C sensor. Now, the reason why I wanted this lens in particular was because it allows me, it's a zoom lens, and it allows me to basically have all my different, it's basically like having all your prime lenses in one, Obviously, you're not going to get the same quality that you would from having, a prime lens at 35 and a prime lens at, 50 and a prime lens at 70 for portraits or whatever. But if you're going to do it this way, at least you can cover all your bases, at least with relatively good quality on each of those shots, and do it all through the one lens. But anyway, back to what I was saying. And yeah, that's what those numbers are. If you look at that up close, you'll see that I've got numbers printed on the side there. See? So the equivalent of 22 is actually my 35. So if the camera is registering that it's at 22 on the focal length, 22 mils, it's actually 35. And then you basically, 31 is your 50, and then portraits are done with your 44 and above. That's why I've written it on there, just to, as a quick guide. So basically what we've got here is just a one-stop shop for all focal ranges. And the kicker as well with this is not only is it a very crisp lens, but it also has that, I think it goes to about 170 millimeters, which is basically a very, very nice amount of zoom to be able to, get up and close with nature without actually getting that close. It also is really nice to do street photography with, or, you know, it's just kind of an all-round great lens. Okay, so anyway, back to my story. Day 2, we're in the Royal National Park, we're in Bandina, and all of a sudden, I get this, I basically get this opportunity to shoot something that I never knew existed before, and turns out that it is very, very rare. You know, it's like 1 in a million rare, what I was about to shoot. And it just fell right in front of my lap as I had this lens on the camera, and I just went to town shooting this thing. And what it was a pink cockatoo. Now, if you live in New South Wales, we do get pink cockatoos in Australia, but they generally exist in like central Australia, you know, hundreds and hundreds of kilometers away, thousands of kilometers away. But anyway, here's one right in front, and I've got my trusty old zoom lens, brand new, fresh out of its box, ready to go. And basically, I start taking photos of this thing, and I get all these really great shots, but I'm wondering to myself, is this, you know, is it, what's really going on here? Is this really happening? So basically, after I shoot this pink cockatoo, I go on the internet to find out what kind of breed it is and where it's from, and how rare this thing actually is. And basically what it comes down to is the fact that this pink cockatoo, I look all over the internet for it, and I find examples for it, but nothing matching this one. You know, there are pink cockatoos, like I said, in Central Australia, and but they've got like a red mohawk, not a yellow mohawk like this one. This one has a yellow mohawk and pink feathers. And I was thinking to myself, what is going on? Anyway, cut a long story short, I start coming across this comment thread where there's a lot of people, and they're kind of complaining about this person that's lives in Bandina in the national park, who's an artist, but no one can kind of pin where he is. And what this artist is notorious for doing is basically catching wild cockatoos and dyeing them different colors. And, you know, there were these examples on the internet of, like, you know, one that was lime green, and one that was bright purple, and one that was, you know, they're all, you know, blue, and one that was checkerboard. Anyway, so it turns out that this magical animal that I thought I'd found, this 1 in a million animal, turns out it's just your regular nasty ass cockatoo, but that someone had caught and dyed pink. But anyway, I wanted just to show you some of the images of this cockatoo, and yeah, some of the footage of me and Bandina using this lens here. So all in all, if you're happy with the images that you see from this video, the lens that I've used is the Sony OSS-G 18 to 105 mil with the f4. Look, what can I say about this lens so far? It's a very old lens, and I thought that I probably wouldn't like this lens as much as I do, but now that I've started to use it, I just realized that it is a very versatile lens. It's very, very nice for video because it's got this function on the side here, which is it's a zoom switch, and basically it allows you to, if you're going to be changing your focal lengths or zooming in and out while filming, it's nice to have a button where you can control the smoothness of it in one movement. You know, it's like you just turn it a little bit if you want a really nice slow zoom, or you turn it really fast. But what I've also noticed with this setup that I've used is that once this lens gets to 105, or in APS-C terms 170 mils, I have noticed that it then hits a wall where it can't zoom in anymore, but then it does like a digital zoom beyond that point, and you can go a further double the distance. You can then times 2 from that 170 mark, or 105 full frame mils, which makes it you know, if you're not so concerned about, I'm pretty sure it's a digital zoom, because the optical zoom goes up to the 170 mark, and then the digital zoom doubles it. But if you're more concerned about capturing things versus image quality, this is a great zoom. I mean, you're obviously still going to have relatively sharp photos up to that 105 mark, but then once you get into the digital zoom, it allows you to go even further on things. And even, you know, I haven't really tried grading it at that level yet, but it's nice. It's a very versatile lens. It's not your sharpest, it's not your best, it's not your, you know, it's not going to be better than having, you know, prime lenses at 35, at, you know, 50, at 70, but it will cover you. And if you're like me and you don't want to buy, you know, $5,000 worth of prime lenses just to so that you can achieve a very similar result to this, that's why I like YouTube. It's not, you know, you can embellish in the flaws a little bit more on YouTube. It doesn't have to be, you know, it doesn't have to be film. It doesn't have to be perfection, you know. Each shot, it's not a commercial, you know. You're not, you can, as long as you're conveying a story or conveying information, then I think you can get away with quite a lot on YouTube. And that's exactly why I like this lens. Now, this is not, I'm going to do a review on this lens further later down the track, once I've used it a bit more. But for now, this is going to be, I'm going to be practicing with this and learning how it goes, and we'll see. And in further videos, tomorrow or the next day, I should get a lens delivered from Camera House, and they're going to be delivering me the Laowa 65mm 2x macro, which I will also be doing reviews on. That lens, look, I just wanted, like, I have 3 lenses, and I don't know if I'm going to get any more after that, but for now, I think I'm going to get just the 3 lenses, and I've decided that the first 3 lenses I'm going to buy out of my own money. The first one was this one. Now, obviously, the reason why I went for this, I know there are other options, and especially even in the Gs, that you know, there's I believe a 18 to 135, and there's also the kit lens version that's a 18 to 55. The reason I went with this is because, as I'm recording on right now, I'm using my DJI Ronin RSC2, and using a gimbal, I can use this lens because when you shift the back and forth on the the zoom, it doesn't change the weight distribution too much. It doesn't, nothing comes out the end. It pretty much stays this size the whole time. Obviously, the weight distribution does change a little bit within the lens, but it doesn't change enough to throw off the DJI RSC2. So that's why I decided to go with this lens. And the other, I'm not going to be using the Laowa on, there's no point using the Laowa lens on my my RSC2. So I'm just going to probably be shooting either with a tripod or handheld with the Laowa lens. But that was kind of my thought process on the lens choices that I've picked. What you're watching me on right now is my Sigma 16mm 1.4 lens, and the reason I got that lens is because A, it's wide, great for YouTube. So most of my content on YouTube, especially my talking head segments, will be shot on the Sigma. B, it's got very, very good low light performance, which covers me at night. If I fancy doing a little bit of astrophotography, or if I fancy doing anything that's kind of in low light, that's an excellent lens to go for. And C, I like the depth of field in the shots with this lens. So if I'm even going to do, like, I like to do kids photographs on a wide lens, only because, you know, you can kind of warp their, you know, they don't have to be pretty. They don't have to be, kids can be a bit goofy and a bit all over the place. And if you can get in nice and close with a 16mm, you can get these great shots where, you know, you can see all the little hairs on their head and all the little, you know, bits of snot or whatever, or dribble, or, you know, eye bogeys, or whatever kids have on them. And I think that's a great lens, not necessarily a portrait lens, but personally with my children, I like to shoot like that because I don't know, it kind of gives this cartoony vibe to them. I don't necessarily like shooting adults like that, but then I can then go back to this lens, flick it over to, you know, 70mm, and then do adult portraiture that way, and still get a very, very crisp, clear look, still get a little bit of depth of field, but not like the Sigma. And that's, so my zoom lens covers me at long distance. My Sigma will cover me for my YouTube content and low light photography and night stuff. And my third and final lens that'll be coming to the picture is going to be my last lens, which will be the Laowa 65mm 2x macro. There's another reason why I chose the 65 over the 100, and that's because when you're shooting on APS-C, you've got to take into account, like I said, that multiplication of 1.6. And I wanted the equivalent of a 100mm macro lens on my APS-C. Now, if my maths is correct, the Laowa will also, because of the smaller sensor on the APS-C camera, I should get an additional, I can't really do the numbers in my head, but I should get additional magnification. You know, I'm thinking something like almost a 3 times magnification, which is going to be crazy because you obviously get everything in between. So I can do 1 times magnification, I can do 2 times magnification, but if I do 2 times magnification on that lens, it actually means that I could potentially be doing almost, in reality, 3 times magnification because of the taking into account it's a crop sensor. And it's specifically designed for crop sensors, this lens that I'm going to be getting. So there's a lot of good things coming. I'm doing a bit of product photography, as you can see in the background here. I'm just going to wait. I'm going to get myself a nice slider. I'm going to get that lens. And yeah, I basically got a slider, but I didn't like it, so I'm returning it. And yeah, so yeah, just keep that in mind. Anyway, it's been lovely chatting to you. You know, if you're new to my channel, I probably only still have about 20 subscribers, but that's part and parcel when you start out. I'm not too fussed. I'm focused more on this point on producing content and gaining the tools necessary to produce unusual quality content. I used to be a filmmaker once upon a time. I went to film school for a very long time and I dropped out. And the reason why I dropped out was because I had a couple of jobs in the industry, and it was nothing like I thought it was going to be. And there was no creativity, especially for a person who's just starting out. There was no creative input. And what I've found is that over the last 10 years, I've done other jobs and found that YouTube has kind of opened up a world to people where they can be creative. They can be one-man bands and have all the creative control, do all the editing, do all the shooting. All these gadgets and wonderful gizmos that have come out in the last 10, 15 years have changed the way that people do film. Because back when I was doing it back at school, you could be one person on a team and you basically just got to control everything within the realms of that position. Now I realize that so much has changed, and I'd really appreciate if you could like, share, subscribe, because yeah, this is going to be a fun time. I'm going to be bringing back the ghost of Christmas past in terms of my filming ability. And yeah, I really, really am excited for what this next chapter has to offer. Anyway, my name's Harry Bananas. Peace out, and I'll catch you on the next one.